Hi there. Welcome to week 1 of ski training. Hooray. Today's video will focus on engaging the abdominals, getting your breathing going, getting your glutes active, and some spine articulation. Things about this video and just kind of about this whole series in general is, for the most part, fast is not better. Use these videos as an opportunity to kind of slow down your movement, check in with how your body's feeling, what muscles are engaging, how your body's moving, your form, function, all that stuff. Breath is one of the key principles of Pilates, and I like to think of it as a tool. And that with that tool, you always have it with you. And you can use that to help facilitate movement, especially when you're tired or you're just kind of not into it anymore, or mostly when you're tired. You always have your breath to rely on. So go back to the breath. You kind of think about that as being something that can help facilitate movement. So we're going to start today with laying down on your back. And knees will be bent, feet will be flat. And with the legs, I like to have them in a hip bone, knee, second toe alignment. So we don't really want to be as wide as the mat, and we don't want to be too narrow. We want to be in that happy medium. So if you were to stand upright, your feet would be right underneath your hips. So we'll begin with breathing. And sounds silly. We breathe throughout the whole day. It's essential to living. But with these movements, I really want you to check in with how you're breathing and kind of getting the muscles in between the ribs engaged, using the whole lung capacity. Sometimes people have the tendency to either breathe really shallow or only take belly breaths or that sort of thing. So we want to try to utilize your entire lungs here. So starting with the heels of your hands on the ribs, your fingers will kind of face inward, elbows on the ground, and tail is heavy. Taking an inhale through the nose and exhaling out through the mouth. Inhale through the nose and exhale. And this, continuing on as I'm talking, so this breath is kind of like a, and it allows the ribs to draw in. And you're inhaling through the nose, kind of trying to expand the ribs as wide as they can go on the mat. And exhale. If you feel like your breath kind of stops at the chest there, you can bring your hand a little bit lower to try to encourage it to move downward. Or if you feel like you're only breathing into your belly, have your hand a little bit higher. And just play around with different places your hand can be to kind of encourage that expansion out to the side and also kind of into the back of the mat. And exhale. For those of you that are used to yoga, this breath pattern may seem a little bit off. And if it's too challenging to kind of reverse how you usually breathe, just breathe. That's always my rule, is just keep breathing. And try to think about your breath is the facilitator of movement. But we, as the weeks go on, try to think about inhaling through the nose and exhaling out through the mouth. They say that you get a greater inhalation when you inhale through the nose, but you really can recruit the muscles of the ribs, of the torso, as you exhale through the mouth. So a couple more here. Inhaling out to the side, exhaling. Trying to draw that low belly in, the ribs hug in. And one more here. And now moving the hands down to your hips, seeing if you can find those hip bones. And this is just to check in with what's going on through your hips. There isn't a right or wrong or this kind of movement. It just gives you an opportunity to check in. Your hips are the keystone of your body as far as movement goes. The legs move below and the upper body moves above. So we just kind of want to be a little bit more aware of where our hips are at, how they're moving, that sort of thing. So we're going to start with some pelvic tilts and incorporate the breathing to the movement. Inhale, arching. And so you're going to increase the space between the low back, and then exhale, imprinting, drawing the low belly in and kind of pressing the low back into the mat. Inhaling here, arching and exhaling. And if there's any pain going between these two extreme ranges, just lessen the range. So it doesn't have to be as big of an arch or as big of an imprint. But try to kind of, if you can, go to the full range. See if you can do that. Inhaling, exhaling, and with those hands on the hips, just checking to see if your hips feel even and equal, or if both sides are moving, no sides are moving, that sort of thing. You have this little pointy part of your bone of your hips, and just it's kind of sweeping back and forth. And we want to keep the hips nice and lubricated, basically, with these small movements. And because when some of the bigger muscles take over, those little muscles don't engage properly, and we really want those little muscles for stabilization. All right, let's progress into a bridge. And this bridge is going to be an articulated bridge, so it isn't just the simple lift of the hips up and lower back down. We're going to connect it to breath. So hands down by your side, your collarbones are nice and wide. Inhaling to arch, and then exhaling to have that imprint like you just had in the tilts, and then continuing with that imprint as you lift vertebrae by vertebrae up off of the mat. Toes are spread wide, heels are grounded. Inhaling at the top, seeing if you can direct that inhale into the back of the lungs, into the mat. And then exhale, softening collarbone, breastbone, which is your sternum here. Nice and slow. Inhaling at the bottom to reset. Exhale to imprint. Feeling those knees lift away, the heels ground. And lifting to that highest point. Inhaling at the top. Exhale slowly, softening rib by rib. And if you find any sticky spots, just kind of check in there and see if maybe you can move a little bit slower on the way up, the way down. And what I mean by sticky spots is that your spine kind of moves in a chunk. And if you can't feel that, that's totally great. We're just getting a little bit of this mobility through your spine. We want the little muscles that support the spine, the little multifidi muscles, to engage and do what they're supposed to and support the spine. Which sometimes if there's tension or pain or something like that, they shut off and they don't necessarily do what they're supposed to do. Okay, one more bridge here. Inhaling to arch, even and equal through the hips. Exhale to lift. Pausing at that top for the inhale. And then exhale, softening down. So one key thing with the breath that I like, kind of a rule of thumb that I like, is that you are exhaling on the harder part. So with the bridge, as you're lifting up, you're moving against gravity, and so that's when you're exhaling, kind of drawing the ribs in, low belly draws in. At the top, inhale, you're in that static position, so you don't have as much engagement, and then exhale, you're resisting gravity as you lower down. So we'll move into a little chest lift series, and that breath rule of thumb will apply here. So feet are going to stay flat. We're just going to warm up the abdominals here with our feet on the ground. So the legs in this situation act as a lever. So we're going to start with kind of a low amount of a lever, and then throughout the movement kind of build on that. So with that, bringing the hands behind your head, you want to be, actually back up a second, you want to be in neutral spine. So neutral spine is the kind of the happy medium between the two extremes of those tilts. And with that neutral spine, the idea is that you're in a bone stacked alignment, and your muscles can engage in the most efficient way. Some people will have different neutral spines depending on injuries or just the makeup of their bones and kind of their movement history. But in general, you want a little bit of space between your low back and the mat. You want to keep that space as we move through all of these movements. And what that does is it just stabilizes all the little muscles, or it kind of forces all the little muscles to engage rather than the big ones coming on. And those are your little stabilizers that we want to kind of move with us throughout the day. It helps us just be pain-free and be efficient. Hands behind your head. Taking an inhale to prepare, and then exhale. Lift from the chest, not the chin, and chin nods. So the chin and the head are along for the ride because they happen to be attached to your body. Looking at the top of the knees as you lift up. Inhale to lower down. Seeing if you can resist gravity as you lower down, almost articulating through the upper spine there. And exhale to lift. Inhale to lower. Exhale. And low belly draws in. Ribs hug in as you lift. Inhale down. Exhale up. And having the legs on the mat gives you the opportunity to really be able to focus on what muscles are engaging through the torso. Where's my breath going? Inhale, ribs expand out to the side. Exhale, connecting. Last one here. Inhale, exhale. Good. We're going to add in a cross of the arms to kind of warm up the side body. Same breath pattern. Exhaling to lift. Inhaling to lower. Your hands are cradling your head right at the base of your skull. And your elbows are not too wide, but also not too narrow as you have this lift, depending on the tightness through your shoulders. I have pretty tight shoulders, so this is about as wide as my shoulders go, or my elbows go. Good. Last one on either side. Something you'll also notice throughout this series is I'm very bad at counting. So if you feel like if you are very good at counting, you can make it even and do your thing. But just as a kind of disclaimer, my counting skills are subpar. All right, from here, we're going to bring our hands back down by our side, maintaining neutral, and we're going to really focus on warming up the low belly with some leg arcs. So we call these femur arcs. Take an inhale to prepare. Exhale, arcing one leg up to 90. Give a little flex of the toe there. Inhale to lower down. Exhale, begin that exhale, that engagement through the low belly, and then arcing up. Inhale. So the idea is you begin your breath, get that engagement through the torso, and then that leg, your lever, lifts. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. And continuing here, if this feels like kind of a good amount of effort, and it seems like a small movement, but you really want to feel like that low belly is engaging, that the low back is not arching. If you feel any arch or any imprint of the low back, like trying to kind of help with the movement, stay in this movement. If you feel like, all right, I'm pretty stable, exhale one leg up, and then exhale the other leg up. And now this is our home position instead of our feet being on the mat. Inhale to lower down. Exhale to lift. Inhale to lower. Exhale to lift. Continuing here. Getting that exhale, beginning just a little bit before the exhale, before the heel lifts off of the mat. Seeing if you can inhale all the way up into the top of the chest, spreading the ribs wide, and inhaling into the back of the mat. And breathing is one of the harder parts of this. So just kind of start thinking about that full expansion of the lungs and drawing in. Good. If you start to feel your back arch or your hip flexors kick on at any time, just bring your legs back to the mat. Find that reset. Exhale to bring your legs back up. And then hold at the top there. If you need a break with the legs, take it. And then exhale. Inhale, exhale. And then from there, let's open one knee out to the side. Inhaling, exhaling. Other leg opens out to the side. Inhale, exhale. With this, you want to try and think about the hips staying equally weighted into the mat. So as you bring that leg out, so the left leg coming out, you want to try and think about grounding through the right hip. Inhale out, exhale in. And the reason for this is that you're not getting too much, you're controlling with the little muscles through the pelvis. So if you're just kind of to tip out to the side, it doesn't really recruit any of the muscles. You're just kind of tipping, going with gravity. Last one on either side here. Using that low belly to draw the leg in. And good. From there, bringing the legs back down. Give a little tip back and forth if you are tight through the hip flexors there. We're going to come back into a chest lift series and begin with the feet down on the mat. Taking an inhale to prepare. Exhale to lift just the right leg up into a femur arc with a chest lift. Inhale to lower down. Exhale to lift. Slight flex of the toes here. Inhale and exhale. And with this, you want to check in with the hips, making sure that you're not tipping to one side or the other. And if you feel like this feels pretty stable, you're not imprinting through the low back, you can bring one leg up to 90, followed by the other. And then this is the movement. Inhale, exhale. Good softness through the jaw. And If at any time you start to feel a pull through your low back, you're imprinting or arching, bringing that left leg down. One more here. We're going to hold at the top and take an inhale, holding in that chest lift. Exhale, extend the right leg long at a 45-degree angle. Inhale, exhale. The left leg stays static. If it needs to come to the mat, bring it to the mat. Hips are still even and equal. Good. Feeling that ribs draw in, the low belly drawing in. Inhale, exhale. See if you can spiral that leg inward as you extend. Last one. And bringing the legs down. Extend that right leg straight. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, lift, bringing the hand to the outside. If you need support through the head, you can use just one hand here. And inhale. Oops, sorry, plant. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last two. And last one. Perfect. Let's move on to the other side, beginning with that bent knee arc. The leg is down. Inhale, exhale. So one thing that's also a good thing to note is that you want each side of your body is going to be different. So I always like to think of kind of the legs, the arms. You move differently through each side. For example, like most of us just use our right leg in driving. And so you're going to have probably a slight external rotation through your right foot, right leg, right hip, because you're kind of spinning between braking and accelerating. Good. If you want that leg to be up for the last couple, or your leg already has been up, awesome. Keeping that equal evenness through the hips. Last one. And holding at the top. Right leg is static. Inhale, exhale, extend. Inhale to draw the leg in. Exhale, low belly, ribs connect. Seeing if you can kind of spiral that leg inward. Inhale, exhale. And gentle flex of the static leg. Last two. And last one. Bringing that right leg down. Keep straightening that other leg out. Inhale, lower the head. And exhale to lift. Inhale and exhale. Bringing your arms wide. I won't bring mine quite as wide to keep my plant nice and happy. And good. Using that breath, using that low belly to lift the leg up. If this is too challenging, you can always come back into just the bent knee or the support through the head. Inhale. Two more. Exhale. Last one. Good. And bringing the legs down. Give a little rock side to side. Just to kind of release any tension through the spine there. We're going to come back into a bridge series. This time it's going to be a little bit more work through the glute because we're going to do some single leg movements here. And so if at any time during this bridge series you start to feel like your low back is really taking over, or you are tipping a lot through the hips, just bring the hips down, come to reset, either come back up into the movement, or you can also do some of the movements with the hips down. The goal of this is to stabilize through the glute that is standing, but also just getting this movement through the hips. With any kind of winter activities, we are constantly challenging our hip mobility, and that's sort of, we want to strengthen those supporting muscles of the hip. So from here, take this off, we're going to take an arch through the low back, inhaling, and exhale, imprint into the bridge, just like we did before. Hands press into the mat, lifting the hips, taking an inhale, and then exhale to tap one leg long, tap that heel long, inhale to come back in, exhale, other leg taps. So as you are doing this, you can bring your hands to your hips if you want. Keep your elbows pressed into the mat for that stability. And just kind of check in. Where are my hips? What are they doing? Do I really kind of collapse to one side as my leg straightens? Or am I able to keep them parallel to the mat there? And there's really no right or wrong. Everybody starts from a different place. The biggest thing is just being aware of how you're moving, what your body's doing, maybe where you need a little bit more stability. And it's also kind of cool to see, like, starting out at the beginning and then where you'll end. So I always love that too, just to kind of gauge that strength there. One more each side. And holding there. Tail is heavy. We're going to ground the left heel, and we're going to heel toe the right leg out. And this is, the heel toe is great for you're having that stability through the left glute. So feel like the left heel is drawn towards the left glute, but also you're getting this ankle movement and also this internal and external spin through the hip. So making sure that as you're walking in and out, and let's come all the way in to kind of give a little kiss through the knees there, and then out. And here, breathing wherever you feel like you need to have your breath give you a little bit of stability there. Good. And if the low back is pulling at all, you can lower the hips down an inch or two or all the way to the mat. And last one. Good. And hopefully you feel it a little bit in that hip. Pausing in parallel, taking an inhale, and then just do a little quick lower reset of the hips to the mat, and then lifting back up. Taking an inhale and then exhale, just tapping the right heel long. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, filling the back of the lungs. Exhale out. Good. Keeping that stability. This is going to be a little bit more endurance through that left glute, through the left leg. So if you feel like your glute is really not engaging, give it a little love tap. This is kind of what it looks like. You just be like, hey, come on, let's wake up. Good. Let's add in a tap out wide to the mat. So heel taps out. I kind of internally rotate through my hip here. So my heel taps, my knee goes inward. And let's do a few there. Inhale one way, exhale the other. Or if you need to exhale both ways, definitely do that. Let's do two more here. Good. And And last one. Good. From there, take a reset if you need. Lifting up on an exhale. Last one this side. We're going to incorporate a little bit of upper body into this after we get the lower body all dialed in. So taking an inhale, exhale, arcing that leg up. Try to keep the hips even and equal as you arc. And something to think about is your sit bones, which are your bum bones there. You want to think about kind of maybe drawing them towards your tailbone, towards the center of your spine to help stabilize through the hips. Let's add in an arm if you can. Inhaling into the back. Exhale. If you feel a burn through that right leg, that's totally normal. Exhale. Inhale. Last one. And perfect. Hold there. Lift the hips. Let's articulate down. So inhale, exhale, slowly articulating vertebrae by vertebrae. Give a little rock side to side to release any tension. Maybe you'll find a few pops. And now we get to do it on the other side. I'm actually going to spin so you can see that side. Taking an inhale to prepare, arching through the low back. Exhale to imprint, peeling up. Nice. Finding that parallel alignment. And now let's ground the right heel. Take an inhale, exhale, straighten. Inhale in, exhale, straighten. And good. One side might feel way different than the other. Again, depending on your movement history, depending on kind of how you sit, how you stand. Good. And feeling like the ribs can almost funnel downward to your hips to send that leg away. Good. Last one. And now from there, tapping out. Good. Getting that internal. Oops, I realized I just forgot something. Perfect. Internal through the hip. There. And with that internal, kind of sending the knee to center. Good. Sit bones draw long. Last one. Hold in. If you need to take a reset through the hips, take it. Inhale there. Exhale, lift. Let's heel toe that leg out. So ankles might feel different for one side. You might get popping. And getting that nice kind of external spin, internal spin through the hips. Give the knees a little kiss. Out, in, out, in. Good. And what I mean by out, in is internal, external through the hip. Which, because in snow sports, we need that movement, that mobility through internal, external. So we're just trying to nurture that. Get that hip moving. Last one. Good. It's also nice for the ankle. Toe lift, heel lift, toe lift, heel lift. Maybe a little bit of activation through the calf. Alrighty, back to parallel. Take that reset if you need it. Inhale, exhale, lift. Now that we're going to do opposite arm, opposite leg, but let's start with the leg first. Bring your hands to the hips just to give a little check-in. Left glute is really grounded. Inhale, or really engaged. heel is really grounded. And you almost like you wiggle your toes, playing the piano. Inhale, exhale, lift. Inhale, connect those ribs to the hips. And good. Last one. Add in the arm. Seeing if you can keep the shoulders equally weighted as you add in that arm. Whew. Lots of endurance through that standing leg. If you have any cramps, definitely come down, reset, and then come back into it. Good. Last two. Yeah. And last one. Good. From there, lift the hips if you still have a little bit in you. And then exhale, softening, slowly rolling down vertebrae by vertebrae. Whew. Give the knees a little rock side to side. And bring the feet down. Knees come off to the side. Opening the hands out wide, looking the opposite direction of your knees. Using your exhale to bring the knees across. Inhaling into the side body that you're looking towards. Exhale to come across. And good. Wiggling the fingers long, getting as big as you can across the chest there. And then pressing yourself up and coming to a seated position and spinning to a kneeling position. We're going to do a little roll up here. So bring the hands right underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, taking an inhale, maybe a little tail wag there just to release any tension, and then nodding the chin towards your chest, sliding the hands across the mat. Use that little bit of friction of the mat, kind of pulling there to the top of the knees, and then sliding the hands on top of the shoulders there, stacking vertebrae by vertebrae, reaching the hands up towards the ceiling, wiggling the fingers, and a big breath out. Nicely done. So that first video does a lot of explaining, but to me, I love to know the why. And so I talk about that a lot. And but it's, you kind of need for some of those little nuances of movement, to know the why makes you understand why you need to do them and why it's helpful, and how it contributes to kind of the longevity of movement, which is really important to hopefully your life, my life. I want to keep moving for a long time. So by moving slow and with intention and using your breath to facilitate, I hope are tools that kind of will get into your whole life, and also, you know, give you things to use for the rest of your life. Thank you for joining me, and I'm so excited to move with you for the rest of the week. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Bye.